Hello viewers and welcome to End All Wars. I'm your host, Chu, and well, today we're starting off another wargaming let's play, and we're playing a title that I've been looking forwards to for quite some time. To End All Wars here is a grand strategy game. It's a World War One grand strategy game made by the fine folks at Ageod, and well, as you've probably already noticed, this episode will be titled Episode 0 or something along the lines of that, because today we're doing a briefing slash a voting, seeing as how this is quite an advanced war game with a lot of different factors involved, and B, the game allows us to pick from a few historical routes that of course differ from what actually happened in World War One. And well, with that said, I wanted to open up those options to the community as, say, a voting type of thing. So with that said, I guess we'll start off the campaign here, and we will just go forwards with talking a bit about how the campaign works, the general scenario that will be thrown into, and the factors involved there. So the press preview version of the game here comes with a few different scenarios. We have a tutorial, we have a small campaign made of only 7 turns, and this is more so just the tutorial without the tutorial bits there. The main meat and bones of the game comes from these two sections over here. We have a full campaign and historical campaign, and as you can see, the historical campaign only differs from the full campaign by 1 turn, and this is because inside the full campaign you can choose from those alternative historical plans on turn number 1, whereas the historical campaign just locks you into the historical war plans and dispositions accordingly. So the game comes with the game features 3 sides, technically 4 if you consider all neutral countries during World War One as one big faction. We're going to be playing as the Central Powers irregardless, so we're going to be playing with Germany and Austria-Hungary being the main powers inside our faction, and I say the main powers in our faction because you can incorporate other nations gradually throughout the game, and it's very plausible. You can incorporate, I think, everything except for the United States and Great Britain as the Central Powers here. So it gives you say quite a bit of leeway there. Anyhow, moving forward with the game, we've started off with the campaign here, and we get this lovely map to conduct our operations on. But as I'm sure all of you have noticed by now, there are no units present on the map here. It is just a blank state with the terrain listed here, and this is because, well, to get our units to show up, we'd have to advance the game by 1 turn, and secondly, we'd have to select from a set of 8 different war plans here. So we had to select 1 for Germany and 1 for Austria-Hungary, starting off things, but giving you guys a very generalized summary of the causes of World War One. A lot of I think ethnic I'd say conflict, where volatility came out of the Balkans here. Austria-Hungary went in to intervene after its heir to the throne died or was assassinated in Sarajevo here. Fortunately for the people of Serbia here and the Balkans in general, the Serbs were allied to Russia, so the Russians were called into a fight with Austria-Hungary, which led to the Germans being called to arms to join into a fight with Russia, which somehow went to France, and then with France it led to with France indirectly led to Belgium, which led to the entry of Great Britain historically. So it was again, I'm not going to get into the very fine aspects of it, but it was a chain of events that effectively fired off the Great War. And with the initial war plans here, we have some leeway in altering that. Historically, what the Germans did was that they fired off the plan called the Schlieffen Plan here, which was a maneuver to bypass the majority of the French troops stationed inside this area over here near Nancy, Verdun, an area here, just on the German-French border. Instead, they opted to go into Belgium, swing around Belgium, as in go into it, invade it, and then swing around into Paris for a quick victory like that. You could consider it the predecessor to the Blitzkrieg there. And well, once they entered Belgium, that upset Great Britain greatly, and with that said, it kind of caused their introduction to the war. And that is effectively the historical plan set in here. We can choose from 4 other plans. We can start off by taking a look at some of these other options. I guess historically these were options that were phased out in favor of the Schlieffen plan. So as I kind of just said, I mean, there will be a war on the side of France and, well, the western side of Germany for sure. And in addition, there will be, of course, the eastern front here as well. So the game gives us a few options here. Instead of say taking on the French and hoping for a fast victory there, we could go with Plan B over here, and we could try to swing over. We could try to swing over the vast majority of Germany's armies to the eastern front immediately, keep a small division shoving up that boundary between France and Germany, playing the defensive on the western, going on the offensive on the eastern front instead. Or alternatively, we have two more options on this side as well. We have the Kronprinz plan, which is to let's see, what is this? Plans to attack the west are abandoned. Belgium is not invaded. The 3 armies are deployed in the east and 5 in the west for a balanced defense. So this is I guess just more or less a defensive campaign more so than anything. We also have this option right here, the Ruprecht plan, which is a variant of the initial plan to invade in the west, but instead of invading, say, through Belgium and Luxembourg, we take a bit of a detour and come out the south, going from Switzerland and area instead. So yeah, the game gives us a lot of different options for conducting these operations. So Plan A, Schlieffen plan, historical route, going through Belgium. The Mocht plan, which will be going through, we're focusing on doing an offensive in the east. We have the Kronprinz, which is the defensive, and we have the last one over here, which is a move through Switzerland. Move forwards to the Austria-Hungary side of things. We have another set of plans that we can choose from. These deal with how Austria-Hungary handles their actions here. So starting off, there's the Conrad plan, which is to fight or say put a fight in Serbia, while focusing on Russia as a priority. Alternatively, there's the Kaiser plan, which will to attack Russia in force and to delay dealing with Serbia for a later date. There's the König plan here, and this is to concentrate an offensive against Serbia and to go on the defensive against Russia. And there's the Prince plan over here, which is to hold its forces in reserve and bide time before committing to a plan there. So lots of different options there. Just keep in mind that all of those are just some variation of, say, attacking either the east or the west, and more so where we want to strike going from there. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to load up the historical campaign, because this one has the actual troop dispositions for the historical plans, and we can see how the Conrad and the Schlieffen plans start out inside this scenario. So I'm going to give it some time for the game to load up the scenario, and with that said, we can take a look at how the historical plan would work out here. So inside the game, all of our units are effectively just marked by a little, say, card like such. These usually have the picture of some leader on it, and these are the leaders of this army, which is called a stack, which is effectively all the troops listed in one location at the bottom panel here. So with the Schlieffen plan in mind, what will happen is that a large majority of the German army shows up on the western front here. A lot of their troops will be focused inside the Belgian area here, and like I said, it'll be a sweep down or to the west and then to the south into Paris in the almost optimal form here. So that is one front. A lot of the bottom numbers on these cards indicate roughly how strong a unit is, and as you can see, a lot of the French power units and power dispositions, if you could call it that, I guess, are centered around this area over here, and ours is of course in Belgium and area there. So that is option number one. We could go through, say, Switzerland on this front as another option, though mind you, that would put us through some some very heavy mountainous terrain, which is, to say the least, not very great in any shape or form. On the side of Austria-Hungary, what they'll be dealing with is inside the Balkans here. We'll have to split up our forces. The forces of Austria-Hungary are really just split between dealing with the massive amounts of troops coming from Russia and dealing with the infiltrators, or the raiders, if you will, coming from Serbia. As if we don't put up enough defenders inside this area of the world, these Serbian units can just evade and dodge all of our armies and eventually get into the back ranks of Austria-Hungary and do some real damage like that. So with that said, with Austria-Hungary, we could opt to focus on to say the eastern front over here, or the Balkan front down here. So those are the two options here. With the eastern front for Germany, we can opt to put up a defensive on the western front here. So for example, the area bordering France and Germany is a heavily defended area. On our side, we have a lot of fortresses and we have a lot of troops just stocked up on this area. And with that said, we could, in theory, switch all of the troops from Belgium over to the eastern front instead. Ignore Belgium, keep Belgium neutral, keep Great Britain out of the war, hopefully, because if we don't go into Belgium, there's a chance that they might not join into the conflict. And instead, we could operate out of Königsberg here as a operating base for now. We could launch attacks into Russia. Hopefully, we'll be able to break through, get into the heartland of Russia, do some real morale damage, and make them surrender in an appropriate amount of time. A good option would be to consider, say, possibly the historical routes here and here, using the Conrad and Schlieffen plan accordingly. But another good idea would possibly be to put, let's say, the Hungarian plan for invading Russia into play, and that'll cause us to be able to mount a lot of, that'll cause a lot of the Austrian troops to come up over here into this area over here, and from here we can mount an attack, of course, into Russia in depth. And going forwards, one more step, we set the German plan to operate out of Königsberg, and with that said, once we do that, we might be able to do a bit of a double envelopment here, trap the Russian army in Warsaw and area, and annihilate them like that. So there's a lot of different options inside the game coming off of those two routes. Throwing a couple more factors into the mix, we want to say, hey, there are there will be two of these very, say, early game actions that we can commit to, two early game events that we can fire off here shortly at the start of turn 2, which greatly speeds up the process of converting the Ottoman Empire into our alliance as well. And with that said, if we could do that in a fast amount of time, it'll cost us some resources, and I believe 2 battleships, as odd as that sounds. But if we go along with that option, we have the option of invading Russia as well through, say, some of the back areas over here near the Caucasus mountains. I think that's what this area is called. Sorry if that's wrong. Instead, or as a secondary front as well. Moving forwards from there, if we decide to not go with the Schlieffen plan, if we keep Great Britain neutral, one of the great benefits of that is in World War I, one of the big contributions in relation to Great Britain was the fact that they set up a naval blockade, which really reduced the amount of German production. So with that said, if we keep Great Britain neutral, we have that chance of keeping this blockade box empty, and thus making it so that our industries, aka our ability to produce cannons and stuff, run much smoother. So that is also another factor there. In relation to the plan in going into Switzerland, it'd work, assuming that we'd forego taking, say, the Ottoman Empire as a ally, instead switching priorities, switching our diplomatic missions to blitzing, say, Italy here, and to hopefully switch them to our side before 1915. If we switch them to our side, we might be able to, swing through the south of France instead. The thing about it is that, I mean, bear in mind, Switzerland is a very mountainous region, and with that said, it is going to be very difficult in getting our troops into this area. Mind you, this was a nation that, I mean, in World War II was practically untouched, despite being, yeah, very close to Germany and practically surrounded by occupiers, right? So that is not an area that I would say consider being viable. But if members of the community disagree with me, I guess we might give that a go. So that is a very, I'd say, I don't, semi comprehensive summary of the initial starting positions here. Going forwards, I'll talk a bit more about where we're headed in the first episode, and I guess we'll just leave it off here for now. So I hope to see you guys in episode 1 of our Let's Play, and I hope that this had been somewhat helpful. Maybe this will be more of a vote for, say, veterans of the series more than anything, but we'll just go forwards with this, and we'll see where it takes us. So I'll see you guys next time where we get into the game and start on playing.